Hey, hi, hello, welcome back to my channel. My name's Lauren. I used to be a librarian and now I talk about books on the internet, and let's get real, it's more fun. For today's video, I have my October reading wrap-up. Now, before we get into the reading wrap-up, I want to put like a little prologue here. I read a literal ton of books in October. I would like to say that I have been off work the entire month of October because I had a fractured foot. So for a good like 75% of this month, all I could do was sit. So I sat and read, I sat and watched TV, I sat and played video games, I sat and did diamond painting. I did lots of sitting activities. I went nowhere. I did not have hollow weekends. Like I read a lot of books, and that is why I read so many. So if you are watching this video and you're like, holy shit, how did you read so many books? Oh, I only read 5 books. Maybe I'm not a real reader, whatever. Before you use this video to judge your reading or other people's reading, just know that all reading is valid. All amounts of reading are valid. You know, if you read 1 book, if you read 100 books this month, it all counts. So this month I did participate in Hollow Weekend and Spookoplathon, but I did them pretty casually. So I'm not really going to wrap up the prompts or anything. I participated in them loosely. I watched the sprints. I used the prompts to kind of guide my reading a little bit, but that's pretty much all. So my total books read in October is 38. I know, my goal was 31. I hit 38. The last time I had a good reading month, like at this caliber, was probably June, when Maddie from Book Browsing Blog ran the Whatever You Want-a-thon. I think that readathon I read like 60 books because I was competitive and insane. But this month I was competitive with nobody and I read 38. And the total pages that I read were 9,792. For next month, I'm going to be back on my using the call pile spreadsheet to track my reading, because I have just like notes of what I read. And so I had to like manually come up with these stats, and it was awful. So we're gonna have better stats next month and into next year. But anyway, I did count up my star ratings, and if these numbers don't add up to 38, I don't care. This is book math, this is girl math. I did my best. So I had 11 5-star books, 9 4-star books, 12 3-star books, and 2 2-star books. That's not bad. That's a lot of really good books, and then a lot of very mediocre books. So for my wrap up, the way that I have decided to try to do this is I'm going to do my first ever tier ranking video. I've never made one of these before. I was kind of intimidated with setting it up, but I didn't really know how to talk about all these books. Number one, I don't own them all, and I want to move towards that in the future. I don't need to own every book that I've ever read, just the ones that I love. So I have 5 tiers. And they're all based on Taylor Swift songs, because of course, I've decided that my branding is Taylor Swift. It's fine. So my red category, that's like the bad things, I used Is It Over Now, because I'm obsessed with that song. And 2, there are some books that I have read in my life that I'm just like, is it over? I want my time back. That's basically what those books are. I want my time back. Why did I read this? This like orange category is You Need to Calm Down. These are the books that you need to calm down. They were not for me. I did not like these books, but like objectively, the craft was fantastic. Objectively, these books are for somebody. Now, you could argue that mostly everything goes in that category because every book has its reader. So even the Is It Over Now books probably could go in that category, but we'll see. But anyway, You Need to Calm Down. These books are for someone, they weren't for me. Next category is I Knew You Were Trouble. So these are books that I maybe had wishy-washy thoughts about, and they just ended up being trouble for one reason or another. Next category is You Are in Love. So this is the category of books that, like, these are my personality now. I will be taking no further questions. Now let me explain the green category, and then I'll tell you the difference between that and the green category. Green category is timeless. So this song is about two people that, like, fall in love, and would they fall in love regardless of time. So the timeless books are the books that will haunt me for the rest of my life, that I will think about, that I will talk about, that I will reread, that will live on my bookshelves until infinity. Right? The You Are in Love books, those are the ones that I'm obsessed with right now. But give it a year or two and I'm going to be like, what? That's not, I'm probably not going to think about it. Okay? Makes sense. Like, it's a really good book and it's really good in the moment, but is it really good forever? No. So, let's do our first book. So, the first book is Good Game by Madison Fox. I read an ARC of this book, and this is going in the timeless category, okay? This is a romance book. It is a masked men video game player romance book. Why is this going in the timeless category? I will tell you. So, this book gave me all the feels that The Deal by Al Kennedy gave me, in a different way. This is for sure darker. This is for sure smuttier, okay? But just the writing was so fantastic. The world that Madison created, chef kiss amazing. It was so good. The characters, I love the characters. She rounded out all of the support characters. I know that she's working on like a second book and a third book in the series to follow all the men in this gaming troupe of people. And I'm so excited to follow them and follow their journeys and learn about these other guys. And, like, yes, it was steamy and it was a smutty good time. But it was also a good book and it was a well-rounded reading experience. And I still think about it. And I think I'm still going to think about it in the same way that I still think about The Deal by Al Kennedy. Because that book, Hannah is like my best friend, okay? Garrett, I love him. Uncle Garrett, right? Like, best friend Garrett. I don't know. Like, I just went out and bought the sequel to that book. I am obsessed with that book. I am obsessed with Al Kennedy's writing. I love her. Okay, this is like the same thing for me. Next, we have No Place to Hide. This was a novella. And I should actually do two at the same time that are not, like, right next to each other. Hopefully it lets me do that. So, No Place to Hide was, like, this carnival erotica novella that I read for this Instagram book club that I'm in. And holy shit, this was bad. So, I'm putting that in Is It Over Now? It could go and you need to calm down, but, like, the sheer amount of plot holes in this book was just, like, not it. And, like, you could come to me and be like, well, it's erotica, like, it's just supposed to be romance and, like, sexy times. Yes, but, like, there was a point in this story where so the man is a carny, right, and the girl goes to this carnival and she sees him and he's hot and she's like, oh my god, like, let's have sexy times, whatever. And he's, like, really sketchy. Okay, this is not hot carnival worker. This is not, like, fantasy carnival worker. This is legitimately the guy that you go to your small town carnival and he travels with the carnival and it's like, did you get a high school education? I don't really fucking know. That's what this book is. And then the smut is just not good. It was just not good. Don't read it. This was one of the 2 stars. I want my time back. Next, we have Icarus and the Devil. This one I read an ARC of, and this is for fans of, like, Lucifer, for sure, like the TV show, but with a lot of sex. And I definitely pictured the male main character as Lucifer, for sure, and it's male. But it wasn't, like, my favorite thing ever. Like, I had a good time, but we'll put it in I Knew You Were Trouble. We're going to call that the hot and cold category, where, like, I liked it, but I didn't love it. Oh no. Now we're up to Unhinged by Vera Valentine. I rated this one 2 stars on Goodreads, but, like, I had a good time with it. So, oh, this is hard. Okay, we're gonna put this in You Are in Love. Maybe. I knew you were trouble. We'll put it there, because going into this book, I knew what it was going to be. This is the erotic door book that I've seen all over TikTok, okay? So this girl, she ends up falling into some sort of love type thing with her front door. And yes, there are scenes with this front door. And he is a shifter. But here's the difference. So once in my life, I read the Potato Shifter book. I forget what it's called, but if you look it up, you'll find it. There's a werewolf and a potato. What I hated about that book is that there was no reason for this potato to be a shifter. He didn't know why he was a shifter. He didn't know his purpose in life, which, fine, existential crisis, that's fine. But, like, you should also, like, kind of know why this person is a shifter. Why is he a potato and not a werewolf or a vampire or something? I don't know. Whereas in this book, does it make sense that a door shifts into a person? Absolutely not. But you get this character who introduces sort of like why he's a door and why he's feeling this way and what he needs to do to become a real man sort of thing. And so there's an explanation of the lore for why he's a door. So, like, it doesn't make sense. The smut is weird. The book is fucking weird. But, like, it explains itself, and I always say that if you're gonna write a bizarre romance, you have to commit. You can't half-ass that shit. Next, I have Spookily Yours by Jennifer Chapman. I got an ARC of this book as well, and I'm putting this in You Are in Love because this is adorable. I will read more books by her. I said in my review that this is as if Cal and Marnie, but like Cal wasn't creepy and evil. It's almost as if they fell in love. That's what this book is. So the male main character is a demon, but he comes to this world for reasons, and he is a cat. And the female main character runs this bakery with her sister, and it's very Stars Hollow, but like Halloween Town vibes. It's just so good. Am I going to think about this book for the rest of my life? Absolutely, maybe. But probably not. Like, come October, I'll probably think about it. And as she releases more books in the series, I will think about it. But, like, it's not timeless. You know what I'm saying? Like, I love it. Please read it. It was fantastic. I think I rated it 5 stars. But, like, it's not, like, an all-time favorite. It's a very well-written, highly rated book for me, but it's not my personality forever. It's not timely. Next, we have Quarter to Midnight by Darcy Coates. Now, in this video, we're going to get to talk about how I have discovered some things about my reading taste this year. This is her short story collection. I'm working on, working my way through all of the Darcy Coates books, and this was not my favorite. But, I liked it. So I'm going to say you need to calm down. It's not my favorite Darcy Coates book. I don't think I love short stories. But it was fine. There were hit and miss stories, which is what you get in short story collections. There were certain ones that just like creeped me out. I actually think I read this before because as I was reading it, some of the stories sounded familiar, but I was like, I wasn't sure. So I think that tells you what you need to know. Like, I remembered it, but not really. Not enough to be like, yeah, I read this before. If that makes sense. Next, we have The Disappearance by Bentley Little. This is going, Is It Over Now? This is my second Bentley Little book. My first one, I read the Haunted House book. I forget what it's called. But it has a scene, trigger warnings for SA in that book with a ghost, and it was not good. This book was my second chance at this, and it was about a cult. The female main character is like in a cult, and the male main character, they go to Burning Man together in a group, and then they wake up and the female main character is gone, and they're trying to figure out, like, they can't remember what happened and trying to figure out where she is, and it's this whole mystery, and it was just way too long. Like, I wanted it to be done. It wasn't bad, but it just kept going and going and going, and I just don't like his writing style. I don't like the things that he chooses to put in his books. It's just not for me. Next we have The Coldest Touch by Isabel Sterling. This is a like female vampire YA book. It's kind of like Buffy the Vampire Slayer vibes. I'm putting this in I Knew You Were Trouble because it was fine. I think if I had read it number 1 as like a teenager and number 2 when it came out, I might have liked it better. But it was fine. It was a fine book that I read. You know, like it gave me the good 90s nostalgia vibes plus vampires plus vampire hunters and witches, and there were some really good moments in it, some good lines, but it was just average. Next we have What Lies in the Woods. That is going in Is It Over Now. At some point in the month I started reading books about like woods and forests, and I was like, yes, I like the vibes of the forest. This book was the beginning of me realizing that I don't like mysteries / thrillers. I don't want to have to figure out shit in my book. This is coming from a fantasy reader. So obviously I like piecing things together and I like figuring things out, but I don't want to figure out what's happening. And I couldn't even tell you everything that happens in this book now. I can't remember. It was okay. Next we have The Foulcroft Ghosts by Darcy Coates. This is going to go in I Knew You Were Trouble. This one was more of like a YA leaning book. So it was about this brother and sister, and their mother goes into a coma, so then they have to go live with their creepy grandparents, and there are ghosts in the house. And it was very Darcy style. I liked this much more than Quarter to Midnight, but it's not my favorite Darcy ever. And I love her haunted house books, but this wasn't the greatest thing ever. It wasn't my favorite, but I liked it. And I liked the ending, and I liked the characters, and the atmosphere in Darcy books are always chef kiss amazing. Next we have The Raven Boys by Maggie Stiefvater. This was a first time read for me. I'm attempting to get through the series. I was going to do series in a week, but it's a week later and I've read one, so that's where we're at. This one is going in You Need to Calm Down, because I think if I had read it when I was like 16, and before I had read many like fantasy romance books, and before I had read a whole lot for pleasure, you know, I think I would have loved this. And I think if I had read it while it was coming out as a series, I would have ate it up. I think it's written very well. I like the mystery of what's going on in this town. I like the boys. I like the girls. I like their dynamic. I like Maggie's writing style. It's just not a favorite thing. Like, I thought this book was going to be a new favorite series for me, but it was just okay. Next we have All Hallows Haunt, and this is bad because this was also a carnival erotica book, and so I thought that this one was going to go higher up because it was definitely rated very high. The smut in this one is amazing. Contrary to No Place to Hide, this one was good. This was like a fantasy man at a carnival / haunted house, right? It's not, you know, your next door neighbor who may or may not have graduated high school at the carnival. So I'm going to say You Are in Love because when I read it, I was obsessed with it. Right now, I'm like, I don't know. I want to read the rest of the series, and it was really well written, and I thought it was compelling. The smut was good, but I'm not. I was in love with it at the moment when I read it, but now I'm like, oh, okay, we're good. Next, we have The Weight of Blood. I think that's by Tiffany Jackson. So The Weight of Blood is a Carrie retelling. I listened to it on audiobook. It's basically told through a podcast, and the podcasters are telling you the story of this woman, and she is in high school, and she is a black student, and so she's kind of an outcast at her school, and then her school has they have separate proms. So next we have The Hellbound Heart by Clive Barker. This is a horror classic. I'm putting it in You Need to Calm Down. It was fine. It wasn't for me. Next we have The Graveyard Book, and I listened to this on audio. If you ever read a Neil Gaiman book, listen to his audiobooks because he narrates them, which is fantastic. I'm gonna say I Knew You Were Trouble. It was a so-so read for me. It was fine. It's very atmospheric. I like Neil Gaiman books. It was fine. Like, it was a good moment, but it's not something that I loved. Next I have Halloween Party by Agatha Christie. This one is going in You Need to Calm Down. I did not like it. It should go in Is It Over Now for me, because I did not like it. This is the book that confirmed for me that I do not like detective mystery stories. It was set up so well. The writing is fantastic, right? The clues are there to figure out who murdered this girl at the Halloween party. I don't give a shit who killed the girl at the Halloween party. I don't want to figure it out. No. Just no. I don't care. I just didn't care. I want to watch the movie that's based off of this book, which is A Haunting in Venice, to see if maybe I liked this, like, mysteries in movie format, but I'm thinking no. Next we have Mistletoe Kisses. This one I read in an arc. I'm putting this in You Are in Love because it was really cute. No, we're gonna put it in the yellow. The I Knew You Were Trouble. I liked it. It was very good and I enjoyed my reading of it. And if you need a cute short novella for Christmas, read it. But, like, it's not my favorite. Will I read more from this author? Absolutely. But, like, it was fine. Next I have Carmilla. This was a reread for me, so this is going in Timeless. This is the vampire book that preceded Dracula. It's kind of sapphic. I love it. It's a cute little novella, perfect for getting you in the Halloween vibes. Next we have A Goat Princess. This was a poetry collection I bought at Target because the cover, I mean, come on, and the title, Goat Princess, so great. So I'm going to put this in You Need to Calm Down. There were poems that I liked. Overall, I liked the theme. There was a lot about, like, moving on and kind of like grief and relationships. I think it was well written. It was a good time, but it's not my favorite poetry collection, and it was fine. I read it. Whatever. Okay, Starter Villain is going in Timeless. I still think about this book. This was my first John Scalzi. I got this from Aardvark Box because, like, this was my first time subscribing to Aardvark because I saw the cover of this book and I was like, I need it. It's a cat in a suit. Okay, and it's about this man, dystopic romance book. It's about this man, and he is just your run-of-the-mill 30-year-old millennial. He's a substitute teacher, kind of down on his luck. I think he's divorced, and his like rich uncle leaves him all of this money and this business. And from the outside, this business is parking garages, right? But then there is so much more to this business. It's like mafia type business, but there are like spy dolphins and talking cats, and it's just ridiculous, and it's just so funny, and it was a good time, and I really enjoyed it, and I want to read more by John Scalzi because it was good. Next we have This Time Next Year by Sophie Cousins. This is about two people, and their parents were like sort of friends, or came across each other somehow, and they were both having babies. The mothers were having babies on New Year's Eve, and so they're New Year's Day babies, and we have a boy and a girl, and they just kind of meet once a year. It was good. There were certain parts that I liked about it. I think we're gonna go with You Are in Love because I loved it while I was reading it, and now I'm like, I remember bits about it, but I'm like, yep, that was fine. Next we have Clown in a Cornfield #1. That one is going in Timeless. And then I have Clown in a Cornfield 2, Frito Lives. And that one is going in I Knew You Were Trouble. Let's talk about this. Clown in a Cornfield #1 was a reread for me. It is a YA horror book by Adam Cesare. It is creepy. It's so creepy. It's bloody, it's gory, it's fantastic. It almost reads like an old school horror Halloween movie. I love it. One of my favorites. And actually, upon my reread, I forgot how gruesome it is, and so I got to enjoy it again, like almost for the first time again. The second book was fine, so we're following the same characters in the second book after, so basically in this town, it's like a small town America kind of thing, and there's this clown, and people dress up as this clown, and it's like a social commentary on life and stuff, and there's some political stuff in there. And so in the second book, we're still following the girl and her two friends, and the girl went off to college, and then they end up running into these Friendo fans in real life, and so the horrors continue. It was fine. I don't think it was as good as the first book, because the first book was something new, and the second book was like new copied, if that makes sense. Next, we have A History of Wild Places by Shea Ernshaw. I don't remember what this book is about. Oh no. So it's going in, you are in love. No. Yeah. So in this one is a mystery, but I was fine with it because I liked the atmosphere. So in this book, we're first introduced to Travis, and he is like a person finder, and he has a talent for locating missing people. And he meets with the family of Maggie St. James. She went missing. And then we go to this other family, Kala, and it's two sisters, I think. And I don't want to say too much, but they live in this town that Travis was going to. It's super mysterious. It's weird. It's just weird and spine-tingling, and I didn't see the ending coming. I didn't see the mystery coming. So, yeah. Next, I have The Holiday Swap, which is basically twin sisters who both are in baking industry. One is on a TV show, like a cooking competition TV show, and one runs their family bakery back home. And the one on the TV show hurts herself, so she can't be on TV anymore, so they switch lives and fall in love. We're gonna go with I Knew You Were Trouble, because it was average. Like, going into it, I knew it was gonna be a Hallmark holiday classic romance type thing, and I knew it was gonna be fine, and it was. It was a book that I read, and I had a good time with it, and now it's over. Next, we have The Unmaking of June Farrow by Adrienne Young. This was one of my most anticipated reads of the year, and it is going in timeless because I am a fan of Adrienne Young now. I originally read her book, Sky in the Deep, a long time ago, and I hated it. It was a Viking YA book, and I wanted so much more out of it. And that was before I realized how amazing books that have good vibes can be. Her books are vibes. Her books are atmosphere. This one was really cool because it's about this girl, and the women in her family have a history of being able to travel through time, but like she doesn't know that until she finds the door and she can travel through time, and she goes back to her old life, sort of. It's just a good vibe of a book, and it's cute, and it's cozy, and there's a little bit of mystery, but it's just good. As someone who loves portal fantasies, I enjoyed it. Next, we have Winterwood by Shea Ernshaw, and again, don't remember what this is about, so it's probably going to go in I Knew You Were Trouble, because I read one of the two first, Winterwood or A History of Wild Places, and I was like, oh, I should read more Shea Ernshaw. And then this one is also about a forest, and there's witches, and I remember not much about it. It was a vibe though, and I enjoyed it. So yeah, we'll put it there. Next we have You're Not Supposed to Die Tonight. That book is going in You Need to Calm Down, because if I was 16, I would have loved it. So this is about a girl, and she works at this horror-themed camp, basically, where people can book cabins for a weekend, and then they live out like a horror film type thing. She's the final girl. She runs this camp and they're teenagers and stuff happens. There's like murder. It's mystery. It's YA. It's scary. It's definitely tense. There's good atmosphere and it was fine, but it wasn't like the best thing ever, but it was a good time. Next I have The Resurrectionist by, I don't remember the author. It's going in Is It Over Now? I bought this book because the cover is gorgeous. It is dark academia and it's presented as a book about this guy who studied these like cryptozoid type things. It was fine. It was not fine. It was really boring. The pictures were cool. I didn't care about the history of these cryptozoid people things. Just no. Didn't like it. It was pretty. I'm sad that I didn't like it and I got rid of it. Next we have Pen Pal. That is going in Timeless because it was creepy. This is on Kindle. It's like $2.99. It is scary. It's a series of short stories. It was originally on Reddit. Yeah, trigger warnings for stalking. It's creepy. It's a series of short stories, but they're all intertwined, and you figure out how they're intertwined as you go. Creepy. Year of the Reaper is going in. Is It Over Now? I don't know. It was a Fairy Loot or Illumicrate book. It was a fantasy. It was fine. Not great. Next, we have The Watcher, which was a picture book about Jane Goodall. This is going in You Are in Love. I love animal stories and biographies, so yeah, that's going in there. Next, I have Hello Neighbor. This was a book about Fred Rogers. That's going in Timeless. I'm always going to think about Fred Rogers. I thought it was a really cute presentation of his life. Just a really good book. Next, I have Volume 10 of Spy Family. This one's going in I Knew You Were Trouble. Spy Family is my favorite manga series. I have not watched the anime yet. I will. This book did not have enough Anya in it for me, and it wasn't my favorite like arc of the story. We got background on Twilight, whatever his name is, the dad, and like why he's a spy, why he does what he does, but it was like, it was okay. Like we needed that background and to make him a full fleshed out character. But I wanted more Anya and I wanted more funny, and this was more like serious type stuff. Next we have Little Eve by Catriona Ward. This was my first Catriona Ward. I'm going to go with Is It Over Now? Because I wanted to love it. It's about Scotland and the atmosphere, the gothic atmosphere, could cut it with a knife. Loved it. The actual story, I did not care. I was not interested. Couldn't even tell you what all it's... Oh, yeah, that's a cult story too. It's the girl, they live in this, like, religious type cult, and it's about her getting out of it. But it's very gothic and creepy. Yeah, I wanted to love it. I really did. Next, we have Rosie's Rules by Love Parker. I read the arc of this one. It's going in I Knew You Were Trouble because it was average for me. This is one of the books that made me realize that millionaire romances are just not for me. They're fine. I need a millionaire who's like a video game player, an athlete, like is not just like a businessman. Like businessman romance is just not it for me. I did like the romance in this one. I thought the steam was pretty good, but otherwise it was an average story. Next we have The Woman in Me by Britney Spears. I'm gonna say I gave it a 5 stars on Goodreads, but I think I'm gonna put it in Timeless, but for a different reason than some of these other books are in Timeless. I think I'm gonna think about it for a while because like her life is so tragic. And she got so messed over by her family, her friends, her everybody. Like, this girl needs to find peace. Like, she needs to go and like live off the grid and just live life. And I don't even know, like, it was a sad memoir. It really was. Not in the same way that like Jeanette McCurdy's memoir. That was sad, and that was a really fleshed out story, and it was sad. This wasn't super fleshed out, and it felt kind of like an outline of things. And I know that there was a lot of trauma that she went through, and, you know, talking about it, I'm sure was hard. But the themes in the book I will think about for a while. So, timeless. Next, we have Floored by Carla Sorensen. This is going in You Are in Love. And I'm doing that because I really liked it. I read it because I kept seeing videos on TikTok from Beckham, the TV show. Have not watched it yet, but the one of Victoria and David dancing is like all over the For You page right now, and it's so cute. And that little romance is so cute. So this book is a male soccer player and a female, and it's a part of Carla's series about the Washington Wolves, where the female main character's brother was a big deal football star, and then like his stepmothers decided she didn't want to be a mother anymore, so she left her kids, which is like 4 girls, on his doorstep. And so he went from like football player to dad very fast. And this was cute. It was very steamy. It's accidental pregnancy trope. I thought the female main character was really compelling. She's this like English professor, teacher person, and it was a good time. That's pretty much it. Yeah, so we're done. Thank you so much for watching this. And did you read any of these books this month? Do you have any thoughts about these books this month? If not, if you made it to the end of this video and you want to let me know that you are here, why don't you leave me a pumpkin emoji down below in the comments, because it was for October and spooky season. And that's it. I will, you know, do all the good stuff, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I will just see you in my next video, whatever comes next. Bye.